Hello there. Well, you can see we've made some amount of decent progress with our diorama. I'm going to lift it up as much as I can before these guys start slipping off of it so you can get a little view of it. It does look like someone in middle school did it. That's because it's the first time I've ever done one of these, but I am pretty psyched about it. There's still work to do. All these little guys, these little Necron warriors, all have grassy bases so that they match wherever I put them in here. And there's some highlighting and stuff I've got to do to make it a little less monotonous on the ground. That's cool. Doing that though tonight. What I need to jump on, is it needs a background so that when I take photos it doesn't look like a bunch of paint behind it. So I need to handle that part. So what I've got to start with, this is going to be a total mess because I've never done this. I got this craft board that I've just sort of lightly primed, sort of a splotchy sort of fashion as backdrop. And eventually it'll get stuck on the back of, oh, that's not a good sound. Yeah, it'll be on the back of this thing here. And it'll have sides. I'll get to that sound in a second. Shit. All right. And it'll have sides. It won't come all the way out, so I can still kind of angle the camera a little bit. Now I'm looking at my sides. That sound you heard? This tree hangs over the back. Not good. So this tree has got to get fixed. And by fixed, I mean pulled out, replaced in, and regrassed so that he doesn't stick out the back. And I'm going to glue him right now because I'm setting this thing aside and doing terrible art in its stead. But that really stinks that guy was stuck that way. But totally repairable. An absolutely horrifying sound. It's basically just Elmer's glue. Get yourself some squeeze bottles. Get yourself lots of them. You can put glue in them. You can put water in them. You can mix all kinds of things in them. Alright, so now I'm actually going to get my head in the shot and look at this thing and make sure. Thankfully it's got a nice little hole to set this tree in now. A little bit of this extra glue should help out with that slightly shaky rock next to it. I'm going to very gently set this guy aside. That was unfortunate. But we'll just keep on rocking. And now, I need to make a backdrop. And I'm really unclear where to start, so I'm just going to kind of Bob Ross my way through some spooky cloud stuff going on. I may put a moon in. If I do that, what I think I want to do is take some craft board, cut a circle. I may do that later. Paint the moon, stick it on there, have it float out a little bit so you get a little bit of depth of field there. We'll see. It seems like a lofty thing to go for, but here we are. So, I think I need to mix some paint. I gotta figure out, so I'm mostly just gonna sort of heavily dry brush. I may actually use this big guy. But I'm basically going to use a dry brushing technique because I don't want to put a ton of color in here. I got to get some clouds going. And I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a little scared. Little bit scared. But here's what it is. I decided to make my first diorama. So I'm doing it. Alright, what to use to get paint out of here? I will. Hopefully this stuff is thin enough. I'm going to start with some white. Oh, it is desperately not thin enough. Alright. Well, there's mistake number one. At least my paint water's got some white in it now. I will grab a piece of shtick. Grab some in there. It doesn't fit with the thing that was going to be behind it. That tree was sticking out over the back edge, so I couldn't actually get this backdrop up against it. It's glued back on. But, yeah, it was a bit of a mistake. I measured 0 times and had to cut once. Alright, so there's that. Let me get these ugly brushes out the way. This is Dawnstone, which is for dry brushing. So it'll be a little bit thicker. It'll get me a decent amount of gray color in here, and I'm just kind of slopping this up against the edge here because once it's all in this cup, I can sort of mix in the middle. I could get my other little palette out, but I'm not gonna, unless I find out that I've screwed up enough that it is irrecoverable. And then, much as the sky isn't green, I am going to use some Nurgling green because it's very light. And it is used dry brush wise throughout the diorama itself, so it sort of harkens to the same colors. And we're going to find out. I'll start doing some mixing. Grab a dab of this, chunk it in there, dab of gray. I don't want to do the sky nighttime blue. I've never really liked that. Dab of white. We'll just sort of start mixing this together. Oh yeah, that's pretty thick and chunky. In theory, could add some blue to it. I think Fablegeist might be on here right now. Bonk. But yeah, this is gonna be interesting. We've got this sort of like light, creepy greenish going. Use this stick to get some of this slop off of here. There we go. And if you're watching this, yeah, I am not particularly seasoned in this form of art. But it's worth a try. So, in theory, I get some spooky clouds up here. And then down lower, I'm going to try to paint in some sort of like fence or something, I think. All right, so dab some on there. And then just going left to right. Getting some cloudiness in there. Some of this will be a little heavy, but we'll just keep smearing it about. And I can't stress enough, don't really know if this is the right way to do it, and I don't care. I mean, I care, but I do care. But in a lot of cases, this backdrop will be blurred a bit because of the depth of field I'm going to use. Yeah, kind of foggy like. I'm going to use a pretty strong blurry depth of field. I can mix this stuff a little more aggressively now because I've seen it and I like it. So creepy fog, yes, is what we're going for. And because a lot of it's not going to be directly in the shot, like it'll be there but blurred out, should look like a decent backdrop. I mean, this thing that I have behind here is all kinds of like it's got super green in it. It's basically got as a color Tesseract glow in it, but when I take pictures and it's so blurred out, it's kind of fine. And part of what you get out of mixing and remixing on the palette is that some parts are going to be a little lighter, some will be a little darker. You get some variation there. Don't make it seem like I really know what I'm doing, but it's absolutely true. We're looking a little bit more for imperfection than perfection. And then I'm just going to keep spreading this stuff around without adding any more paint to it. And you can sort of see where little glops hit. That's fine. Now add a little more white in here. Get slightly lighter again. This time, yeah, this will be super light. Get a bunch of that off of there, as much as I can. And then sort of lightly turn it this way. And the neat thing about this is that if this goes terrible, it's not the diorama itself. I just don't glue it on. I'll just prime over the whole thing, pave over. I did get a nice roll of like super black background stuff in the mail today. I could choose to have this whole thing just encased in black. So this is low risk fun right now. Just sort of get some highlights in there, get around the edges a bit. In theory, if I had like a crazy setup and I had another decent camera like the one you're looking through top down, I would just have it over here, put a couple models in front of it, take a picture. Actually, I could fake that. Oh look, that's where I prime things. Reduce, reuse, recycle. I could do an experiment, in fact. Oh, I found the crown thing that I never put on my chaplain. I'll just set it right next to him so I don't forget it. I'll do a little experiment right now. That guy's right there. Let's see here. Portrait. Pulling forward a decent amount. One of these. I'll flip it. Do one from like a corner. Should get blurred out a little bit. All right. Basically what I've got for a background, scooch this stuff over here. See how that works. That's with it flipped right side up. I'm sorry if I'm blinding you with those lights. There's lights everywhere in here. Yeah, so this is just with a camera phone, but in theory, this camera up here that I actually take a lot of shots with, yeah, like it'll have more more blurred out depth of field going. You know, I don't think I'm actually going to put a weird fence in. I think I'm just going to hit this whole thing with this method because I think that'll be fine. And then if I add a moon in, I think that'll be enough. It's not bad. Where's the wolf? Where's the wolf? I don't really have space for him. That's my werewolf. Keep just sort of mixing some of this, getting it on there. Not bad for Dawnstone. Probably shoot, well, Dawnstone white, Corax white, and Nurgling green, huh? And yeah, maybe it's all in my head, but I feel like given the fact that I kind of used a blend like this dry brushing on the diorama itself, it'll sort of, some of those things will look like they picked up some of the haze from this. I do wish this had a little more texture to it so that it would pick this up a little easier, but that's fine. Alright, so just a couple more dabs here and there. It is pretty decent. I should think about what I'm going to do. I'll dip this guy in some water, give him a break. I should try to make a moon. Maybe a big one. Maybe a big one. Let's see if I got a chunk that's big enough over here. I do. Alright, so I can set this guy aside. And he doesn't need much drying because he's by and large pretty dry already. We dry brushed him. Get me a paper towel. Could do a big honkin' moon. Could do one like that big, which is like pretty egregious, but might actually look pretty rad. So I think I'll do that. Make sure there's nothing stuck in the bottom of here. That looks fine. What I was doing it basically there. So just cover this over. Boink. Of course, it's all black. I'm not sure if marker's going to show through all that well, but we'll find out. And these little cups turned out to be awesome. I got them from a Middle Eastern grocery store because they always have little tiny metal serving things, and they're not expensive. Yeah, I can barely see that circle. You can give it a scrape instead. Like if you go into like a South Indian restaurant, you get a dish, you get like 3 or 4 of these tiny little cups full of all kinds of exceedingly spicy, more difficult than I'm capable of eating kind of sauces and stuff. A lot of cultures do that. So their stores routinely have these things in there. And I've gotten bunches of them, and they're like durable as all heck because they are metal. There we go. Now let's see if I can cut a circle without cutting my hand off. Wonder if this X-Acto blade might need replacement. Let me just quickly check if I have more blades in a very easy spot. I doubt that I do. I doubt that I can find them in a pinch. That's a stretch, buddy. So we're just going to have to be super careful. There's probably going to be 2 cuts no matter what. God, I did it. We did it, folks. I didn't think I would find them, but I did. More X-Acto blades. Whew, nothing like a fresh blade. Is that just one? It is. Now the key to this all working out is that I put these back exactly where I found them. I can't believe I found them. Amazing. Comes out. New guy very gently comes in. Tighten him up. I like this X-Acto doohickey a lot. How to throw out an X-Acto blade safely. Guess what? This XPS stuff. You just jam it in there so it's never coming back out. Gone in the trash. Well, that guy's actually going in the recycling. They can worry about separating it on their end. All right. Oh, man. X-Acto gold. I'm just following this line I put in there. Hoping this thing makes it all the way through. Stack these guys and get them out of the way so I got a little room to spin. I want this blade to basically be straight down. Once again, I don't need a perfect circle. Great band. But not great if you're uncoordinated. The band's still good. But me doing a perfect circle is kind of rough. Return to the formalism. You come from the top rope every once in a while, buddy. You got a good sense of humor. All right, that was at least close enough. That is not a perfect circle. That is a decent circle. All right. Set that aside. Now, this thing isn't crazily primed. Could do it over the black side. Got a weird idea. But I think it's good. When in the previous step, when I was working on canvas, it's not canvas at all. It was whatchamacallit, just craft board is the word I'm looking for. I was like, man, I wish this had more texture. Thankfully, I have texture. in the form, if I can find it, maybe you can hire the A team. It's out here somewhere. Or it's at my other desk. I'm going to Astro Granite this thing. It does already have some shading. It's not bad. So sadly, I think I'm going to actually pave over all of this natural shading. Because I think I'm going to Astro Granite it so it's got texture on it. And then I can pull out a picture of the moon, try to replicate that facing the moon. Let me see if I can find my stuff. Oh, where are you? Where are you, stuff? Maybe it is out there. The other temptation actually in the sky, and I may still do this, is add some pearlescent stuff to it, make it super creepy. All right, I think the Astro Granite is actually in this space right now. I'm just not seeing it. That's Dawnstone. I can set that aside. Mornfang, no. That, no. Xandri Dust. Oh, it was right in front of me. So if I Astro Granite this thing, all right, so I did cut in a little bit, and because I'm covering this, I got to use this side. So that'll be, the bevel will go towards the back of the sky. But in theory, if I Astro Granite this dude, I can shade it to look like the moon, and it'll have a bunch of texture. It'll absolutely pick up dry brushing. Oh wow, this is, yeah, that brush that I did all that stuff with is junked. Let's see. Internet, show me the moon. Yeah. All right, so whoop. Here's my reference. I can get a spatula out, big boy. I can add this Astro Granite to my list of stuff I need to buy. Oh, that's a big honking chunk. Moon rock. I mean, it is called Astro Granite for a reason. Spoon a bunch of this out. I better have enough. If I don't have enough, I'm doomed. And I will be able to make a bright shiny moon. And what I can do is I can probably use that sort of same color so I get a little bit of eerie green as well on it. Basically just dry brush in the lighter spots, I think. I wonder how many people have actually used Astro Granite to replicate the moon. Actually, probably in 40K a lot of people have. There's all kinds of, I'm reading all kinds of neat stuff that is actually on the moon. There's like a, I think there's a sisters compound there. Yeah, so I mean, this already looks pretty moony. And now when I dry brush it, it's got all that texture cooked in there. So I'm doing this a bit thicker than I did the ground in my graveyard. I want it to all have texture. A little bit more. Boink. There we go. I could probably set that in front of the fan that I now just have running 24/7 behind me. And I think basically just do a little bit of dry brushing here. I wonder if I should, I don't want to add any depth. I don't think I'm going to need it. I think I just need to be precise with my dry brushing. Basically just kind of do this edge here, do that loop in there, and do that. Probably be pretty good. If I need to darken these areas here, I'll just do that with, just dab it with a little bit of wash. And I'll have a neat moon. All right, I'm going to set this over there in the off chance that I can jump back on this. Oh, up a bit. I do realize that it would have been smart to prime this guy today, but I didn't. But at least I can put his little doohickey back on his back. Remember that guy? Look at that staff. That guy's ready to do business for the bad people. Or it's a trophy. I'm taking out some demon somewhere. Either way you slice it. Way cooler than the one that it came with. Glue? Are you going to glue? Yeah, you are going to glue. Like, back of there. How many halos get used? We're not religious. Well, actually, these guys all are. Everyone. I shouldn't say that. The actual Space Marines out there in 40K are not particularly. They're very secular, but well, they say they're secular, but then they use all this imagery, like the Death's Head imagery. That is just metal, but like the halos over guys, it's like, oh, I'm a chaplain. What's a chaplain? Isn't that like a religious guy? Well, no. You got a halo? Yeah. But most of that is just because it looks dope. It looks dope on a model. But yeah, it would have been smart to prime this guy today. Would have been super smart. Of course, his backpack isn't horribly straight, so his halo's not on there horribly straight. So I gotta take his picture from like that angle for it to be straightened out. That's all right. How did I do that? Oh, you know what? It's because this arm's up and I lined it up this way. It's lined up with his shoulders. It's not lined up right with his back. What a goon I am. What a goon. Alright, well, that's pretty cool. So while stuff is also drying, I'm going to do a little bit of stuff to Trazen. And this I'm absolutely going to use some weird paint for, because he's not done. While stuff dries, I'm going to do some pickup work. I've got this charcoal advanced stuff, which I think is also kind of pearlescent a little bit. I want to make sure that Trazen looks special, because he's special to me. So I'm going to test a little bit out on his hood. And this stuff is allegedly just charcoal, but it doesn't get me where I want to go. I've got other pearlescent stuff that I can use. This is going to require its own little schlooper. Well, it just kind of looks like airbrush charcoal. Well, we'll find out. That stuff reacts so weird. Oh my god, it's already strung together. Oh my god. That's weird. Alright, I'm going to find out the hard way that this is a bad idea. But bad ideas are good sometimes. You heard it here first. Alright, I'm going to grab a brush that has already been kind of beaten to death. See how this stuff reacts to that back part of the hood. Maybe I'll hit his shoulders with it too. What's interesting is it's almost got a blue look to it, and I'm pretty sure I can fix this halfway through. Look at that. Now we're doing models again. Is it blurry? It is kind of blurry. Now it's not. So this is charcoal, but it's almost got a barely blue effect going on. And this stuff is thick, it's like plastic. But I haven't used this paint yet, so I'm just morbidly curious. This brush is getting beat to death. Maybe I'll hit his shoulders with it too. Maybe. I don't want to lose all that shine that's going on, but I do want him to look kind of special. Don't want to hit his legs. Maybe I'll hit the inside plates here that I missed before. Dabbing this in. I don't want to brush stroke it because I don't want it to peel the paint off. That looks pretty cool. You're such a jacked up model. Alrighty. Yeah, it does look better. It does. Alright, so trying to see how that shines through. It's got no shine to it. So I think this is just airbrush varnish paint. Not pearlescent. All right. One last weird experiment while things are drying a little bit. Now this one is acid rain, and this one is wild. Wonder if I murdered this brush. Did I murder it? It looks pretty murdered. Yeah, that guy's dead. I killed him with just those few brush strokes. Wild. Oh, this one actually has a reasonable... Oh, that cap is stuck. That's why. It's a shaker cap. Oh, yeah, poured way too much of it out. But that's life. As long as I don't spill it, we're good. Working with fumey stuff tonight. We'll get another beat up brush. I'll grab a few while I'm over here. Keep my old ones just for suicide runs like this. Yeah, you're beat up, you're beat up, you're beat up. Good. This is always going to be a one-way trip. All right, so with this stuff that you can kind of see is alive in there. Like, you can see that stuff's moving, right? That stuff is alive. Crazy paint. That's right. These are my warp paints. You're 100% correct. I'm going to use the warp paint on his staff. And this should potentially, if I dab too hard, actually remove the legit paint that's on there. One-way trip to the warp. You got it. Oh, you know what? Oh, that's interesting. It's pulling the black primer off of this. I think it's actually having like a chemical reaction in there. Which kind of looks neat on here. I think that's why it's swimming. I'll show you guys in a second. So finish making this critical mistake. It's not a critical mistake, it's fine. I think part of the reason that paint is swimming is because it's reacting with all the layers of stuff that are underneath it in a very bizarre way. Oh yeah. Eesh. As long as I'm gentle and I don't hit the bottom of that palette, I'm in pretty good shape. I think I just need to get an airbrush. I need to bite the bullet and do it. I have all these airbrush crazy metallic things going on. I can't really use them properly, but I'm still going to use them. Like the little kid who's always going to use that toy for something. Dab that on there. All right. And this brush is also 86th, so I can show you guys on camera what this stuff is doing in there. Let's dab it. Do one more dab up here. One more over here. I don't think I have the means to hit. Like, I would have to swipe the brush to hit that stuff, but I can hit his little crotch guard area with it. Give that a little bit of sheen, and then I'll show you what it's doing to this palette while we're sitting here, while it's swimming. Once again, I'm just dabbing. I'm treating this like it's a Q-tip. I'm just touching stuff. All right, so this plastic palette, I can just set him aside. And I'm going to put him all the way back here where he's nice and safe. All right, so this palette I've used a couple times, and I think it's why this stuff got all gloppy immediately, is this lacquer is just interacting with the paint that was on the bottom, then the primer that went over it. So you can, that camera, there we go. Let's see if I can get it in better focus at ground level. All right, you can see it's already pulling up the paint. See that? This thing is white underneath. And I had red in here at some point, and it's just like crushing that paint. And now it's all turning kind of greeny as it gets mixed in. This is like something I might consider experimenting with. But this is why I'm so careful when I'm putting it on a model, because it actually like physically is a solvent. Yeah, this brush is never making it home. You leave it in there for a while and it eventually will dry out. It is cursed paint. It is cursed paint. Oh, this stuff is so good. Look at that color though, like that is so warpy. And it's just doing weird chemical crap that it was never intended for. Mix this up. This is like turned to glue. Let's watch this whole thing self-ignite. That mix weird chemicals. I do have my window open, a crack, and a fan running. But like, ugh, it's a lot. All right. Fun times. Just gonna put a paper towel around that guy and set him aside someplace nice and safe over here. That is weird stuff. I'll figure out how to destroy that at another point. Time to sip some tea. This dude, and yeah, he's got a little bit of pearlescent sheen to him now, which is good. Not a ton. It's a nice twist. And this stuff that I put on his helm, I mean, it's fine, but totally not the right use for it. I feel like as I give that a little bit more time to breathe over there, dropping this guy. I feel like I do want to dry brush this guy a little bit, especially on his back. It's kind of dark, and I got in there with a wash, but everybody, it's probably intended to go over varnishes. It is. I'm nearly certain of it. I know that you can very, very safely use it over a varnish, but it's really not supposed to be brushed, which is powerful stuff. But I got it. So I'm going to forcibly use it every once in a while in places that are safe. It was absolutely fine on Mortarion, but once again, I was just super careful about it. I think it reacts to primer directly. So that's the first time I've actually put it on primer because I prime those palettes. I just go right over them again and again and again, which is actually really, really good. Like spraying those plastic divot palettes with your primer that you're going to use tells you exactly how the colors you put in there are going to look on that primer, especially with things that soak through and stuff like that. And then the more and more you do it, it actually gets a little bit of texture, and you can use that. I'm chucking that one, but like you can use it to sort of test dry brushing on. It's kind of neat stuff. It's a guy from Midwinter Minis, I think is where I picked that up from. All right, I'm going to very, very lightly dry brush that cloak in Rune Fang steel, which is precariously silvery. Maybe too much so. But I'm going to be super gentle with it. Yeah, I like that guy a lot. I don't speed paint. I'm haphazard, but what I'm doing is not speed painting. It's just being reckless. But I learn a lot by watching his stuff. There's a lot of techniques you can learn from someone who's learned to do something pretty darn fast. Glop of this stuff, the super sheen. Shouldn't need much more than that. I gotta be very careful with this stuff. That's all dried out nicely. And my brush, I gotta be careful because it is wet. You know what? I can scooch these guys out of here, make some more space. You can sit there. You can sit there. Yeah, he did a heaping pile. I don't even remember how many models it was, but it was like, I think he was trying to do an army in 24 hours, and he did stuff like straight up dunks things. Just like he has like the bucket of wash, which apparently isn't as, it's controversial, but it's not as crazy as it sounds in my head. The army painter actually sells a wash bucket, and like their instructions are like, hold your model with tweezers and dunk the guy in there, which seems wild, but oh yeah, that's gonna do just fine. Now that stuff is shiny. But that dude is like a practical scientist in many ways. We hit these guys a little bit, shine them up, just with what's left on the brush. I'll hit the tops here, just going in one direction. Yeah, you just got a lot more shiny, buddy. Hit the sides of these. Yeah, not too shabby. Boink, boink. Yeah, dip wash. It's creepy to me. Very creepy to me. Seems excessive, but if you're doing a whole army in 24 hours, I don't know. I mean, I like learning about new techniques just in general, and that is pretty wild stuff. You know what? I should have added some silver into what I did with the back of that backdrop. All right, I'm going to quickly spin over here, give my moon a little tap. That needs a few more minutes, but not a ton. I don't know if you guys can hear that fan in the background. Hopefully it's not annoying. It's not a big fan, but having that going makes things a lot easier, especially with that water. That water was struggling, that water feature. All right, so I still got my moon over there. Speaking of which, there are a couple things I can do on this diorama while I'm here. Zoom back out. I can't tell how horribly blurry that is or not. You guys have to scream at me. It looks crisp. Crisp enough. This needs some fixing. This white splotch here. I gotta hit it with something that is like thick enough that you can't see through there. And I think the answer to that is probably grime. Answered all my problems. Do I need to tweeze this thing first? Do I? Do I? Looking through all my toys. Leave them somewhere? I probably did. I'm just going to dab this guy with a little bit of grime so that those white spots go away. And this might need more than one dabbing. That guy's in pretty decent shape. In fact, I probably should just be doing this anyway because it needs a little bit of paint on the top layer to look like proper pond murk. And this stuff was born to do this job. If I let that dry nicely, get a little bit of it on your boy. Slimy Grime Dark does it again. Sweet, that's good that you can't hear it. Because it's blowing, but my microphone's pretty decent. It does just keep things at bay. Alright, so that's pretty good. Let me think if there are other fiddly bits I can do. Don't want to mess with this thing anymore. I do want that tree to actually dry out. Here's one thing I can do. Absolutely can do this. Use the spoon side of this guy. Well, I've got that wonderful glue drying. I can just get in there and swoop the grass in. And that'll just dry into what is already there. Cover up the fact that I had to pull that whole tree out and glue it back in. Push. Push comes to shove. Tap it gently. My precious faux oregano. Done. All right, I can set this guy aside again. Let's have a look-see. That, my friends, is the moon. The question is, do I use pigment? That's a terrible idea. Iron oxide. Pigment's a bad idea. I think we are dry brushing this thing, come heck or high water. What to dry brush it with? I did talk about using that stuff again, so I think I might want slightly more. I'm going to use this brush rather than a big boy. And I can get in there. I basically just want to kind of emulate that. It's like, it really does not have to be perfect at all. So I need some Thorax white again. It's a bit unblotchy. I'll get there. This is going to be relatively light. Snap the end of this twig off, chuck it. I want it to be a little cheesier, so I'm going to actually add some iron rack skin. I got a lot of new colors that are just like all drab stuff that'll be very useful for Death Guard fleshy things. Pretty hilarious. I'm guessing that's, no, it's not too dry yet. That's pretty dry. All right. And this will need some gray in it. Yeah, it's way too white right now. What did I use before? Dawnstone? Dawnstone. There we go. There's some Dawnstone in there. Hopefully I don't need to go full Mechanicum plastic gray as well. We'll just grab this, scooch it in there, and it'll also help thicken things up. Bottom line is it's gray, but lighter than the rest of the moon, which is exactly what we are going for. Squish that stuff together, pull a little bit more white in. We're mixing paint, folks. We are mixing paint. All right. Dab a bunch off of here. Not too much. Get some in. Swirl it around a bit. Start acting like we have any idea how to paint a moon. I'm just going to stare over at this picture, kind of eyeball it. I'm just trying to get the sort of outline of what I'm going for to start. And then I can fill it in a little bit more. Oop, let me keep that guy straight. All right, this whole thing's filled in. Oh, this is scary work, folks. Scary, scary work. And this kind of goes like this, and then like that, a little bit down like that, and then there's this kind of connection there. This circle, another circle, and this comes in a little bit. There's another circle sort of over here. This gets filled in. And there's another circle. This place is just full of circles. Tamp this down. Circle, circle, circle. So if you go, these guys are connected. These guys sort of have a little bit between them. There. Down on this edge a little bit. Make it feel better. And then circle, circle, circle. Circle close to the edge. Sort of like that. Fill that in a bit. And then fill this crap in. It's more stressful than I think I needed it to be, but it's just weird when you've not done this kind of crap. I got lunch with my sister today. She lives out in LA, and I would say that and it's true, not just like being humble about it. My sister got like the artistic genes from my dad's side of the family, So she did like studio art in college and stuff like that. And I definitely did not. So when I say I really don't paint like 2D stuff ever, I really don't. It's very new. I'm finding this thing can actually splotch in pretty nicely. Take advantage of that. And that's, I got to do some amount of stuff in here. A little splotch there, a little bit splotchy, little sort of guy right there. Get some more paint. All right. This sort of come in a little bit. Actually, I'm going to work in here a little bit more. It's kind of a strong dot there. Get some paint off of here in these spots. Come in a little bit more with that. I mean, not perfect, but it's somewhat moon-like. It's not the worst moon I've ever done. It is technically the worst moon. It's also the best moon I've ever done. I got a little water on this guy. Loosen some of this stuff up a little bit. Yeah. Dry this guy off a little. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're having fun here. It's kind of a moon. Close enough for rock and roll, I say. Get around this edge a little bit. I gotta just be careful where I put my pinky finger. And then it gets kind of extra white over here. Spots where it's super white, like that spot there is pretty white. Got a little more paint on here, blotch it around a bit. Get aggressive here and down here. A little bit here. Spread this little dot around a little bit. And then I'm going to try to grab some straight up Corax white off the side of that. Get a little bit lighter again. Just work on that dot a little bit. That a little bit. That a little bit. I need a space wolf. I do need a space wolf. All right. Let's clean this guy off a bit. Gotta be careful with this water now that it's got weird varnish glop in it. I'm going to try one more thing on this moon to darken things up a little bit. In the darker spots is I've got black wash. And this I'm just going to use very gingerly and just dab it in a couple spots. Just darken things up in a couple little spaces. Famous last words. Yeah, this brush is junky. Good. I'm using specifically black, but I'm watering it down quite a bit. There we go. Look at this, sort of like a little bit of area here. I don't need to be as careful. This thing in here is pretty dark. Just hit that. In fact, I probably, if I flip this thing out, I probably just want to hit most of this, because it is going to add texture to it. I'm really not loading the brush up with all that much. There's an argument that I should hit the whole moon like this before I got started, but that's a little dark. But who's counting? Just keep picking some of this stuff back up. I realize this is probably hella subtle on camera. I can see it from here, so it is doing something. There's a couple more spots in there. And then some more down here. I mean, I feel decent about this. Some of the stinged out stuff and just pull this around. That's pretty much a moon. It's close enough, certainly close enough for me. Super textural. How do we actually stick this thing on there, though? That's a $6 million question. I mean, I think all I gotta do is maybe cut up a paper clip. Look at that. Look at that. That's moderately close. I could lighten up a couple little spots here and there. This should probably be a little lighter. Dabs a little bit. This is also how you overdo it. When you overdo it, okay. Done. That is our moon. Yeah, I'm wondering though if I want it to be raised out a little more than that distance. Like if I wanted to pop it out, say, a centimeter, so it really pops out of the back, I should grab that board. That will help decide a lot of things. So I can plunk it, and you can see, even with this camera facing straight down, that it pops out. Or I could pop it out by like that much. Actually, I still just glue it to the board. I think the distance that I want to plop it is probably I say a centimeter. I have a centimeter. Plop it out that far. And now, you can sort of tell, as I move it around, it's moving different than the background. It does not stand out much. Everything is very, very gray. I may need to edge highlight this a little bit or something. I may need to add some more color to it, but I don't think I need to suffer over it long. The other thing I want to make sure that I do is I don't put it so high up that it's never in a shot. So quickly, I'm just going to peek over here at this. I'm doing this off camera because I don't have much of a choice. Yeah, honestly, I want to put it low in the sky if it's going to show up. I want to basically put it at about halfway. Boop, like that. So I think I am just gluing this thing down. I think you're actually right. I know you're trying to be funny, but at the same time, like, it is just gluing to the board. You're absolutely right. And it is hard to tell on both ends just how much someone is joking or not. So but don't stop joking around on my behalf. I'm getting a kick out of it. All right. So, glop of glue. Boof. Glop of glue. Boof. Dumb humor. Well, you came to the right place, buddy. Moon. Moon. And yeah, I may need to get around that edge at some point. But now it stands out. Now it thoroughly stands out. Which is pretty weird, because the fog's not in front of it. But whatever. We're learning about parallax and stuff. But that is a moon, is it not? I think it'll look fun. I think what may end up happening is it may finally get a ultra light dry brush of some more of that color, because I didn't really nurgle it up like crazy. Of course, I can't lift this thing right now. It's got to stay flat while it dries. At which point, I obviously need to clean this edge up so that I can glue this thing to the back. I'm not sure, but I may need to make some like L-brace things. It's on there. It's on there. It's on there pretty tight. It's tempting to actually put a weight on it, but there's actually you can feel it, like it's starting to do the slip sideways things. It's got a pretty solid seal of glue. I was not bashful with how much glue I put on it. Yeah, it may need to be a little bit of a gray moon or a greenish moon, but let's put grass on it. Won't do that. Alrighty. So let me set this guy aside in a nice, safe place. Fan blowing on him. Gently, gently. It is a weekend night, and I don't feel like quitting yet. So I'm going to pre-game some other stuff. I didn't have time to prime today. If you want to hang out, you're welcome. These are all a bunch of Space Marine bits, and I need to start adding weapons. Adding weapons. That is all Necron stuff. I have a bag labeled. Look at how responsible I am. Plague Marine bits. I haven't cleaned up well, but I am responsible. Bob Ross is an excellent teacher in that, and I'm not entirely opposed to that, but I think I'm going to wait and see how it looks first, and be like, do I feel deficient right now? I feel like it's not enough. Alright, so now what I need to do, this guy's kind of hooked on something. I gotta find arms. Plenty of arms, and get them stuck together with weapons on these guys. What I may do is just clip off a crap ton of arms, because none of this makes sense anymore. I've put together bodies already. Don't overdo it. Yeah, I have a funny feeling it's going to be simple enough in the background, because most of what I'm trying to take a picture of is the models, so it'll be like blurred there. I need to get some sort of glow on that moon, so that at least it looks cool in the back. But I don't think I need to go too nuts with it. Alright, let's clip some arms off. It's still early. We'll see if we can get these guys armed up and ready. Whenever my paints come in from the army painter, I know I'm going to want to do Plague Marines. You lost me on that one, and I'm vaguely familiar with enough Shia LaBeouf stuff, but I did not pick up the reference. Did I just say let's do it or do it? I might have said something like that. Certainly possible. It's also interesting because there's a delay. I don't see what you guys write, so like quite a bit after. It's like multiple seconds at least. So as far as being able to riff back and forth humor-wise with folks, it's actually pretty challenging. Oh, so many arms. Make sure that's a thing. It is a thing. All right. We're just going to hack a bunch of arms off, add some weapons to them, put them on these Plague Marines, and have them be ready. Ready for action. So this guy has no arms. Now, I do have to plan this out somewhat. I should have weapons in hand when I do it. Basically just need... Right, there are left and right arms. Right. So the main issue with weapons is that I have to care about are the two-handed weapons. Cleaver, the mace, not mace, it's a flail, which is, as you well know, also a farming implement, which is why Mortarian's boys often have flails, like threshing stuff. Alright, where's the two-hander on this? Yeah, see, that I gotta worry about. Ah, okay. Awesome. This two-handy flail thing, I want to get that all glued up onto someone. So in the buried dagger, turns out they do explain why Mortarian and others' scythes are so mechanical looking. And then also why there's so many flails, because the crew that Mortarian was running with on Barbarous are all farmers. And he actually took his first scythe out of like a tractor machine. So it had all these like auxiliary parts in it. Basically, like he needed a weapon right now. He was out in the field, and he like flipped the tractor, ripped out a huge scythe from it. It was like a combine or whatever they call those things, and it was all mechanical stuff still attached to it, which is why they have gears and pipes and things like that. This is kind of a throwback to where they made their first weapons. And the same is true of flails. I mean, people just using flails out there to hack down brush and old hay, and I don't know, I think people actually harvest with them too. Right, is this correct? Am I doing this thing correct? No, I was not doing it correct. This side goes there. And these all want to sit flat next to each other, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, glue time. Glue time. Whatever's glomming up the tip of this thing out the way. A little test, yeah. This triple flail is one of my favorite, maybe my favorite weapon. It's right up there with the crazy cleaver. Man, if you're like an Imperial soldier, you're in a trench, and some guy rolls up with a flail like this, it's just like, after they've been singing at you and bombing you with all sorts of plague stuff, it's just like, come on, really? This too? Just tap out. It is going to be left open. I have to decide whether or not I might actually put these two boys in there, paint these guys up nice, give them like somewhat glowy eyes, and just have them standing inside the doorway. I do have to figure out what I'm going to put in there. Um, but it is just going to be open. Oops. Sort of glommed that up a little heavily. Okay. And this goes boop on the end of that. Done it right. Have we done it right? This thing has a nub on it too, so I gotta be mindful of the nub. Respect the nub. Oof. Okay. Yep, there is a nub. Okay, it does fit. We dry fit it. Do this free range skeletons. You got it. Actually, I can come back in. How's that? There we go. Dollop on the end of that guy. Spin this guy until he fits. There we go. And this one's important to get done right because both of his arms are attached to each other already. I want to put him on a super dope looking model, but I got to make sure that it fits both shoulders. It could be a pain. Nope, it goes out supremely far. That's good. That's really good. Those little tentacles might be a pain. I think they would be. Yeah, those tentacles aren't going to work. This guy might look good with that face unless it's going to cover it. Maybe I actually want one without a crazy distinct chest plate because that cross piece, yeah, that guy would be good. Sweet. I'm going to set that aside for now. I'll put him with it. That'll look fun. And then I will pick one with a crazy chest piece. Give him individual weapons. This guy's probably got to have his arm back. I would think. Stay back from those. And truth be told, I am very heavily going melee right now. But I do need... I mean, someone's got to wield a Super Soaker. That's like a necessity. I know I need at least one Super Soaker guy. Alright, well, try to put this together. Yeah, I can put some weapons together. Somebody's got to have the Super Soaker just so they can do Overwatch. I got so many lords now. Got so many lords. I need legit rank and file Plague Marines. I mean, I say that, but like, I've also got other models coming. Like, I may not be running that many Plague Marines, but I need to put these guys as such so that when I review the Army Painter stuff, I'm doing it against models that I've already painted, already have a sort of scheme in mind for. Maybe not hide everything that I'm doing. The camera. Like, I want to be painting something that I can try to replicate what I did on the other ones and just see how it works out with the colors that I get. So having at least a few of these, I probably only need like 3 of these guys fully put together. Maybe 4 is probably a good number. All right, that hand is a right hand. That will fit nicely like that. I think. These hands are always kind of creepy to attach. They're wobbly. You gotta hold them for a bit. Yoink. Yeah, 3 or 4 Plague Marines, good. But I almost pulled out tonight. If you have a load of Plague Marines or anything, they'd be good for it. Yeah. The thing is, I got 3 Lords already. Those are the guys that I kit bashed. And Chaos Lords are great, absolutely great. But my Poxwalkers are led by Typhus, and if I go heavy Plague Marines, they'll be to get their squad to 7. It's actually going to be 4 Plague Marines, 1 Champion, 1 Chaos Lord, and 1 of something else. I want more squads. I want as many Chaos Lords out there as I can get. To get to the magic number 7, it's actually just 5 Plague Marines, including the champ. I gotta hold this. I concentrate on holding this thing straight. Come on, buddy. It's funny, in that one game, the first squad that went down, I actually got rid of my Chaos Lord. He died with the Plague Marines. The only thing that was left was the grenade leader guy. He just suicide ran grenades forward to the enemy line like a champ. An absolute baller. Is there... Okay. That gun right there is like the grenade launcher plague gun, right? I think it is. Looks like it's got the big old drum underneath. I think I need one of those too. I got a couple of those. I think that's what they are. Let's see, what do we got for a left arm? For a left arm, do I have anything with a left arm thing already in it? Ooh, that's like the super gooper. I think that goes with that thing. And it's probably maybe attached to that crazy arm piece. I'm not touching that today. I think it's just a bolter? Nah. What is that other gun that I'm thinking of? So it was a Chaos Lord, because you can attach 2 leaders. So it was a Chaos Lord and Grenady McGrenaderson. The Biologus Putrefier, I think. I think that's how I was running it. I don't know, maybe I was doing it wrong, but I think I had it right. Let's look up a gun. I open Wahapedia. Plague Marines. Boo-boo. The gun I'm thinking about is a straight up blight launcher. So many things to learn. So many things to learn. Anyway, this is probably... It's a little squishy, but it's probably dry enough to get on him. Oh, yeah, that'll be cool. That'll look good on you, buddy. If I get these Marines in good enough shape, I think they already shipped stuff to me. My review copy of Paint. So weird. But nice of them. Oh yeah, that can just rest on that spike. I think, yeah. Light launcher's way bigger. Okay. Good to know. Yeah, this guy's holding this thing way up. I love it. Good spray angle. Power washing the side of a house. Hold this finger here for a second. All right. Yeah, you can stand up right there. Good job. No, you can't stand up because that gun is way too out in front, and that's why it fell off. Everybody's getting wobbly. I undercommitted to this. Undercommitted. There you go. Yeah, that spike will hold it there. So what he had attached to him, if I'm remembering correctly, um, yeah, you can attach this model to a Plague Marines unit even if you have one other leader unit has already been attached. So in one salvo from some crazy Tyranid thing, I lost my 4 Plague Marines, the champion, and the Chaos Lord. I think Death Guard. Yeah, and all I was left with was the Biologist Putrefier. I got absolutely slammed. So it was, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 15 wounds I took in like one from this bug thing. That's how roughed up I got. It was like, welcome to Warhammer, you nerd. Oh, you know what? The Chaos Lord wasn't in that. I remember I ran out of points. So it was just the Biologist Petrifier. So I think I took 10. Just 10 to the face. Got smoked. Smote. Oh, this guy could just have a bladey thing in his other hand. And thankfully, they've got all kinds of those. And it was a 4-way game. Like the army rules we kept intact, but the like overall game was just like every person had their own point. There was a point in the middle, and the outside points were worth 1 at the end of the entire round, and the inside point was worth 2. So it was just a matter of like trying to take and hold positions, which is good because it was way simpler than it could have been in that regard. But man, I got worked in that first round. It was dope. It was really awesome. It was pretty cool. But that said, um, my boy Typhus and his Poxwalkers just like held court, and they were super slow to get out there. But basically, I had these Tyranids very close to me because rectangular board and 1 player in each corner, and it's free for all. The guy next to me who was teaching me how to play, he was like the main instructor. He was like, "I'm really sorry. I just rolled really well." I was like, "Yeah, we're good, dude. Like I've gotten characters killed in Blood Bowl because they ran a square too far, fell over, broke their neck, and died. Um, I was too close to them. This tiny little map. Um, they were kind of hidden, but this thing came out of the corner and like got line of sight to them, and they got chewed up. Except for my Biologist Putrefier, who did an excellent suicide run. Because he gets grenade stratagem for free. And he has. He's also got Hyper Blight grenades, which are pretty gnarly. Hyper Blight grenades are like 12 inches, d6 attacks. The Ballistic Skills 3, which is fine, but they're Strength 5, AP -1, 2 damage. Pretty nice weapon. And they're Assault, Blast, and Lethal hits. So he did get to squish some Tyranid guts on his way out the door. It's just really not gluing together. This is my least favorite thing is these hands. Hands on weapons, phew. The pain. It needs more glue. So the whole hand melts off and looks properly nerdly. So weird that the glue melts the plastic. I think that's absolutely brilliant. But very weird. But yeah, my Typhus with 20 Poxwalkers, it was awesome. Absolutely awesome. Like it took him forever to get to the middle of the board, but like he walked out and his psychic attack is pretty solid. It was a threat. At least people were telling me like, stay away from that dude. He basically chopped up some Tyranid stuff, lost like 4 or 5 Poxwalkers, just huffing it across the board. Yeah, Eater Plague Psychic. During a shooting phase, you can select an enemy unit with an 18, which is pretty nice. Roll a d6. On a 1, he gets hurt. Takes a d3 mortals. On 2 to 5, it's a d6 mortals that they take. So that's beefy, and I rolled well for it. I did hurt him once, but Death Guard have a heal up stratagem, so it was pretty good. Actually, I think I hurt him twice. I think I did more damage to him than my opponents did. But that Eater Plague is gnarly. And while this model is leading a unit, each time melee targets that unit, subtract 1 from the hit roll. It's not that hard to hit Poxwalkers, but every little bit helps. I mean, I did get tabled, but I co-won it. I don't think this is going to fit on there because of those tentacles. I got to think a lot about those tentacles now. Maybe I'll just set that guy aside. Let him chill out. Pick a different weapon. Pick a different weapon. Alright, so now I'm guessing that the Blight Launcher is actually that honking thing. That's a beefy weapon. It's got a huge nose on the front of it. Comes together with that. I'll clip it together. I found that my Death Guard had a lot of options while I was playing them. It felt good. And while I was playing, I could see how I would have done some things differently, and even just like who I would have taken into the field differently and stuff like that. I felt, as far as playing a game for the first time, it felt good. I struggled with the die rolls, just in that I had to look stuff up constantly, but that just comes from playing a lot. Just knowing that, like, there's just so many rolls, things like basic stuff like, oh, your ballistic skill is like, it's 3, you're good to go. You don't have much deviation going on in this army. That didn't really stick while I was playing because I was looking up so much other crap. But like, there will come a point where I will never have to look up what Typhus's psychic attack is until they change the rules, because I'll have done it so much. And that I did not have at my fingertips. Oh, this is a chunky, chunky weapon. Potato gun. Does this thing actually fit on here the way I think it does? It does. Blight launchers are dope. So it is tempting to take like a 20-man Plague Marine crew. I think you can go up to, no, it's 5, 7, 10. But it's tempting. It's a cool gun. I feel like I want to, at least my old way that I was planning on putting this army together, I was going to have 3 of those little micro squads of Plague Marines, and like one of them would be shooty. The other 2 would be like crazy melee. But all right, now that I got this thing together, can I get it back apart? Of course I can. There we go. Let's glue this dude. Question is this what the huge rack hand goes on? But yeah, I was thinking about having one of them be very rangy and the other 2 be overdoing it in melee. Because with a super small squad, you get... I wonder if that's already got a hand on it. Does this have a hand on it? I'm not finishing any of my sentences. Yeah, anywho. I thought that would be nice for training purposes, to really learn range and have like one squad that's very dedicated to it would be good. But I suppose having them last more than 30 seconds of the game, also like when my Plague Marines went down, like that was the first like action of the first turn. It's every 5. Yeah, it is every 5. But it's, I mean, Plague Marines is a crazy amount of options. but a lot of them are every 5 it's this, every 5 it's that. And yeah, outside of the champion, every 5 models, 1 bolt gun can be replaced with a blight launcher. 1 bolt gun can be replaced with a spewer. 1 can be replaced with one of the following: melt gun, plague belcher, plague belcher, plague launcher. What is a plague belcher? Oh, the belcher is the anti-infantry one. Ignores cover. Oh, the belcher is the flamer, isn't it? Is it? No, that's a spewer. They have 2 things that ignore cover and are torrent. God, it's so confusing. I am going to have to look up these weapons. That's a melted gun, I think. Man, I am confused. Weird stuff. So maybe that's I don't know. I'll look them up another time. So many weapons. You guys are just nuts. If I have a hand with a grenade, yeah, that's what I'll get on this guy. This guy whose arm can't really have a sword in front of it, you can carry a grenade, buddy. Yeah, it's every 5 can have a blight launcher. There's just so many things. And then it's for every 5, 2 of them can have like a heavy melee weapon, 2 of them can have a bubotic weapon, different melee. So spewer is anti-infantry 2, belcher is anti-infantry 4, and then they both have ignores cover and they both have torrent. So if you have both of those guys in a small group, man, if someone tries to, if you can get Overwatch on someone, whew, getting 12 hits in. Gross. Alright, so I need a left arm. Clean this one up, put a spike on it. With a left arm that can hold a grenade. The grenade's stubby and it won't interfere with that guy's tentacular stuff. Dry fit this guy, and his arm can be behind him like he's going to throw it. Nope, I'm not doing that spiky one because that has a very special pauldron on it. I'll avoid that for now. Do that one, and have his grenade hand. Like this. Yeah, his grenade like behind him like he's going to chuck it. That'll look cool. That will look cool. Pretty sweet when I run out of arms. Or when the glue stops coming out. Oh, come on, glue. But now that I have a Hellbrute coming, that's going to eat up a lot of points whenever I use it. My 5 model Plague Marines, and yeah, they have a leader coming in with them. Or 2. Or the Hellbrute comes in at... God, Hellbrute's only 140 points. That's not bad. That is not that crazy. Alright, let's pull this little spigot thing out of here. Give you a dab. There we go. Hellbrute seems reasonably cost effective in my noobish sense. That is going to be fun to paint. I've always adored that model. And it even came up in conversation with us, like I was thinking about getting that Chaos Combat Patrol just for him. And there's a bunch of extra parts in there I could have used on stuff. But now that he's showing up, ooh, gotta rethink my whole army. More than that, though, I gotta play my whole army a lot more. This guy, this weapon got damaged. All right. Just looks a little squirrely behind him like that, but it'll be fine. It'll be fine. He's a custom dude. It'll be funny when the pauldron doesn't fit on here the right way. Is it good that way? Is it really? Is it really? Yeah, I'll just put it by his side. That's safer. I was worried about how that pauldron would get over there next to those tentacles, but he's got enough space to breathe. He's in good shape. All right, you can just sit there in silence, buddy. Now that this is nice and dried up, we will attach this guy's arms. Just make sure that they fit on there the right way. They do. Do they with his foot spread, which is wide? They don't. This is the really interesting part when you put the torsos and legs together ahead of time. That he needs space for the weapon to make sense. That guy looks dope with it. Guess what, buddy? You win. Oop. Doesn't win as my shaky hands. That's okay. And go. And there you go. Oh yeah, that's gonna be bad as all heck. In the good way. That guy's gonna be fun. Alright, so this guy is good. This guy also good. This arm is a right arm. I have no idea how that works. His hand is through there, so he must have like the ultimate special arm that specifically goes with that. I don't think I have the will to deal with that tonight. My attention is fading. I'm guessing it's probably pointing. Oh, wrong thing. Probably that arm right there. It just has a flat post. I'm gonna let these guys dry. I'm gonna call it a night. I'm getting pretty tired. It was a long day, but we got, we got the backdrop. We got a moon. I may see about putting some L brackets in so I can just slot that backdrop in. And if that looks okay, then I'm pretty much just going to replicate the sides with the same sort of ghostly, foggy, gloppy stuff. I can skip the camera work for that. I can just do that myself. And then glue the whole thing together. Call it a day, take some pictures, have a good time. So anyway, folks, thanks again for joining. Have a great night. We'll see you sometime soon, and bye-bye.